Okay, so Hellbound is a fascinating short series that's laced with social commentary on cults, religious orders, and big monsters. Based on the webtoon of the same name, the first season has just released on Netflix, and throughout this video we're going to be breaking down the story, twists, and its ending.
Person watching this, you are bound to be spoiled in the next 15 seconds.
So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, then I highly recommend that you check out now. If you enjoy the video, then please smash the thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe for breakdowns like this each and every day. With that out of the way, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into Hellbound. Okay, so Hellbound is split up into two parts. It's very much a sort of before Christ and after death situation, in which the former section deals with the creation of a new religion and its leader spreading the message before dying at the end. The latter deals with the religion's power, how it's integrated into every facet of society, and also the corruption within it. At its core though, Hellbound's concept is pretty simple. One day, people witness a quote-unquote angel that appears before them, states they are bound for hell, and then says the exact time that they will die. Upon reaching this time, giant hulking black monsters will appear and brutally rip the person apart before burning them in a blinding glow. No one really knows what they are, and outside of them being completely unstoppable, we learn very little about them. I've seen lots of theories on the monsters, ranging from them being demons instructed by the devil, to aliens, to even being a curse controlled by someone we're yet to encounter. There's absolutely no escape, and even people who end their own lives find their spirits pulled to hell as was decreed. The point of the show though is that we are very much like the characters, and that we have absolutely no idea what's going on, and it's all open to interpretation. To me, this is very much a comment on religion as a whole, and the world is full of people that take religious texts, interpret them in their own way, and say that these are the rules that must be followed. Being raised a Christian, I've watched how the religion has changed over the last 30 years when it comes to things like sexuality, and even the Pope within the last decade has come out and said that animals go to heaven, even though there was a long period when they didn't. So things in religion are very nuanced, and even though there's a lot of different ways to take certain messages, we still have people that are sure what they're doing is right, even though there's a million other opinions on it. Hell, I'm sure there's even people out there watching this video now thinking, yeah, that guy's got a point, whereas other people will think, he's completely wrong, he's a moron, and this is what the show's about. It's genius when you think about it, and though I'm kinda getting off track, the thing I'm trying to hammer home is that a lot of religions are often changed to fit different interpretations, which I think is very much laced throughout the show. Religion was very much started up by ancient civilizations because they didn't have the scientific tools to explain things like what created the solar system, life, and the planet, and it's very much been used here because no one knows how to explain the monsters. Everyone will pull their own quote-unquote religion from it, and even the one we witness is broken up into several sects, including its more popular version, the New Truth, and its far more controversial one, the Arrowhead. It's very fourth wall breaking, and it's one of the major reasons why I love the series, because in not knowing what's going on, we can see how the characters in it end up taking things in their own directions. But where does it all begin? Well, in 2022, we see as a man is killed in the street by giant black abominations, and in the wake of this, a police investigation springs up. This draws attention to a man named Young-Yin Soo, founder of the New Truth. Young-Yin Soo has been stating for years that these are events that are happening all over the world, and we discover that he knew of these things because he was given a decree of 20 years by the angel when he was much younger. Yin-Soo travelled into the wilderness to end his own life, and here he witnessed the demons carrying out a killing, which then spurred him on to educate the world about them. The demonstrations end up becoming more and more prevalent, and slowly the New Truth becomes accepted as the true religion. Now the conscience of the public is eased because we're told that only people who commit sins are sentenced to burn in hell. This allows those who are decreed to be treated like second-class citizens, but we learn that the sin excuse is very much a lie, and that people are just seemingly chosen at random. As we discover, Yin-Soo didn't even sin, and he's been given a 20-year time limit to try and unearth why he and others have been bound for hell, even though they're completely innocent. His search doesn't bring up many answers, and early on we meet a woman called Park Jung-ja, who's decreed to die. We watch as her children are hunted, how she deals with knowing when her death will be, and also how she's very much used as a demonstration to warn people what could happen if they're naughty instead of nice. Yes, it is Extreme Santa. Now a crowd gather around Park Jung-ja's house, and TV stations film the prophecy playing out, cementing that this is the way that the world is now. It's absolutely horrifying, and it was so tense watching the build up to it. They even did a cheeky thing where they replayed most of the ending of episode 2 at the start of episode 3, and it just ended up making it such a nail-biting moment. Now we see the first part of the season through the eyes of Kyung-hun, which I've probably mispronounced, so I want to apologise for that. I'm absolutely terrible with these names, so sorry in advance. Now his wife was murdered, which he and his daughter very much blame themselves for. She ended up becoming a follower of the New Truth, and she enacts revenge on the killer of her mother, even burning him alive in a furnace, similar to the fire that the demons bestow on their victims. She's very much swept up in the charming allure of the cult leader, and after the demonstration, he gains a big following. Kyung-hun is almost beaten to death in the street by his followers, but he's summoned to go to an abandoned location, which is where Jin-soo reveals the truth about his own decree. Jin-soo is killed, and Kyung-hun returns to his daughter, which ends the first chapter. From here we get a major time jump to 2027 and see that Pastor Kim has taken over the New Truth. He regularly conducts religious sermons where he berates those decreed, and we watch as their horrific deaths play out. On the opposite side of this is Min Hye-jin, leader of the Sodo law firm, which has been trying to bring some dignity to those decreed so that their families don't face persecution. Min Hye-jin was presumed dead after the New Truth attacked her, but she's remained in the shadows, providing refuge to those in need. Caught in the middle is Bae Young-ja, a video producer who was tasked with creating a propaganda piece for the New Truth. After witnessing his friend receiving the decree, he discovers that his newborn child has been given one too. This completely contradicts the teachings of the New Truth, who state that there's no original sin, and that all people who are hellbound are sentenced because of their actions in this life. The baby's fate being brought to the public would completely dismantle the New Truth's following, as it would show they don't really know what they're talking about and shouldn't be listened to. His wife ends up going to the New Truth for help, but they want to cover up the decree, and thus she has to escape them. Now on the opposite side of this is Sodo, who wish to broadcast the death to the world, and it's clear that the baby will very much be used for political gain. The show operates in shades of grey, but after realising how corrupt the New Truth is, the family go with Sodo. The Sodo members all know someone who has been decreed themselves, and they're well aware that this has nothing to do with sin. Thus, they turn to a man who was a prominent figure within the Arrowhead named Lee Dong-wook, who used to live stream his own doctrine. However, he turned his back on the church after receiving his own decree, in which he's due to die 5 minutes after the baby is taken. Not only was he by far the most annoying part of the show, but he also ends up contacting the New Truth, who convince him that he's actually been chosen by God to cover up his mistake in sentencing the baby to die. Dong-wook ends up going wild, and after attempting to kill those that protect the baby, he's defeated by Min Hye-jin. The decree of the baby plays out in a public area, but the parents tie themselves tightly together in order to protect their child as the demons burn them to death. Dong-wook is killed shortly after, but a big twist comes when we hear the cry of the child and learn that it survived the encounter because of its parents' sacrifice. Though we don't know why it survived, I personally believe that the love of the parents and their willingness to give up their own lives was deemed as something that protected the child and meant that they were taken to hell instead. It does show that the three monsters can be defeated, but in order to do this, you have to offer up an exchange. Min Hye-jin ends up taking the child away with her, and we also see how the population and police have turned on the church, signifying that they have now diminished. It seems like life can turn back to somewhat normality, and though we still have no idea what's going on with the decrees, the population are no longer bound by the laws of the church. It's a very freeing moment, and no longer will those who are decreed be persecuted by those who deem themselves as righteous. However, a big twist comes when we return to the site of Park Jung-ge's death and see that she's resurrected. It's a completely outstanding effect as we watch the dust of her cremation go back into the husk, which reforms and then shatters its casing, showing that the entire idea of the show has been cracked wide open. It's a brilliant moment, but what the hell is going on? Well, as we've been saying this whole video, everything is open to interpretation, and no matter what anyone says, there's no definitive answer to this. All that we can do is offer up theories on what's happening, and the first thing I think is that the journey to hell is very much a judgmental one rather than a sentencing. Perhaps those who are hellbound end up being murdered because they have to die in order to travel there, and in this location they're judged by the devil, who decides if they've lived a good life or not. It would be very traumatic for the person, but it would also mean that should they have been good in their life, that they can return to Earth and further pass on the message about what happens when one is bound for hell. Park Jung-ja will very much clear up all the confusion that people have over the decrees, as she's the first person we know about who has come back. We also don't really know how time works in hell, and as she doesn't really seem to have aged, 5 years could be 5 minutes down there. However, yeah, before you start typing, I am aware that someone might just return at the same age as they were when they died, so maybe there's that too. Now her resurrection could also be tied in with the destruction of the church. It's strange how around about the time that the New Truth is dismantled, she also comes back, and potentially its fate could be tied in with those returning. Resurrection is also a facet that's laced throughout religion, and I do believe that most of those that have died will return, including the New Truth leader. Potentially they all return at the same time, and all that we are seeing is Park Jung-jae, but this phenomenon could be happening all over the world. Now, diving into the other theories on the monsters, if it's aliens, then this could be used to cover up some kind of weird human experimentation that they return from. If it's a curse, however, then perhaps the curse wore off with the fall of the church, and this then allowed those who had been sentenced to return to Earth. If I had to place a bet on anything though, I think that what we see is very much what happens in that humans are sentenced to hell, and perhaps due to their actions in life or in the realm, they're allowed to return. Hell, it may even go beyond that, and due to the 2 lives being sacrificed in order to spare the baby, this could mean that the books in hell are out of balance and that a person must be returned in order to keep things the way that they should be. 2 dying for the baby might equal 1 soul needing to be returned, and thus humanity in many ways could end up engineering a formula to get people back by sacrificing 2 during 1 decree. There's lots of things to think about, and I haven't seen anyone come up with a concrete answer yet, which shows just how thought-provoking that the series is. I absolutely loved it, and though I could have done without the constant annoying livestream bits, I think that it worked really well in taking a concept and exploring different avenues through it. Hellbound definitely needs a second season to clear up all the questions we have, and though I'm worried about whether the answers will be satisfying or not, I can't wait to find out what's behind it. I love the whole twist with the time jump, and there were several really brutal moments that were balanced with more grounded and human ones. It was a really well made show, and though not perfect, I still enjoyed it quite a lot. Hellbound is something you should definitely watch if you haven't, and it gets an 8.5 out of 10. Now obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts, so make sure you comment below and let me know. We're running a competition right now and giving away 3 copies of the Zack Snyder DC trilogy on the 30th of November, and all you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the series. We pick the comments at random at the end of the month, and the winners of the last one are on screen right now, so if that's you, then message me on Twitter at HeavySpoilers. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of Cowboy Bebop, which will be linked on screen right now. We go over the full series, all the differences to the anime, and also talk about its ending, so hopefully I see you over there right after this. If not, thanks for sitting through the video. I've been Paul, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, peace.